What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com.
Here are my DFS picks for MLB Monday, April 19th.
These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button
And hit that bell icon.
so you don't miss our new videos.
In this video, I'm going to go over my top DFS picks for today's MLB slate.
And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made.
Okay guys, we have a 7-game slate tonight, so let's take a look at the pitcher position. I like Jack Flaherty with an 8% pitching advantage over the Washington Nationals. Jack Flaherty, he pitches 8% better versus righties as he does his other pitches, and he's only giving up a .640 OPS versus righties, and he's facing 7 righties here tonight. On top of that, the Nationals have only hit 9 of his last 36 pitches, batting a .250 batting average. He's 8,800 FanDuel salary, and he's 300 less on DraftKings. He's projected at 32.3 fantasy points here tonight. He has an ERA of 4.11. His record is 2-0 on the season so far this year, and he's pitching an average of 97 pitches per game, averaging 30 fantasy points per game. He scored 36 and 46 fantasy points in his last 2 games. So I like Jack Flaherty here versus the Washington Nationals. Okay, let's take a look at the catcher first base position. I like Jared Walsh with a 23% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, Kohei Arihara. Jared Walsh bats 30% better versus righty pitchers. He's batting a 1.164 OPS versus righties. And Kohei Arihara, he's giving up a .794 OPS versus lefties. So Jared Walsh is 3,500 FanDuel salary, and he's 1,600 more on DraftKings, projected at 11.1 fantasy points here tonight. He's averaging 15 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 29, 13, and 3 fantasy points in his last 3 games. He's got a great matchup here tonight, so I like Jared Walsh here versus Kohei Arihara.
Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching. If you want to enter the drawing for $100 PayPal, all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won, and then we'll send you $100 PayPal. So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you.
Okay, let's take a look at the second base position. I like Chris Taylor with a 51% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, Justice Sheffield. Chris Taylor bats 21% better versus lefty pitchers. He's batting a .978 OPS versus lefties. And Justice Sheffield, he's giving up a .652 OPS versus righties. There's no at-bats versus Sheffield yet, but Chris Taylor is only 2,900 FanDuel salary, and he's 1,800 more on DraftKings. Projected at 10.9 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 12 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 22, 0, and 13 fantasy points in his last 3 games. So I like Chris Taylor here versus a low salary pitcher, Justice Sheffield. Okay, let's take a look at the third base position. I like Brock Holt with a 2% batting advantage over Dylan Bundy. Brock Holt is batting a .767 OPS versus righties, and Dylan Bundy is giving up a .696 OPS versus lefties. Now, the reason I like this pick is because Brock Holt is 11 for 19, batting a .579 batting average and a 1.514 OPS versus Bundy. So I love that batter versus pitcher history. Brock Holt is 2,600 FanDuel salary, and he's 1,100 more on DraftKings. Projected at 9.6 fantasy points here tonight. He averaged 9 fantasy points per game on the season, and he scored 3, 7, and 10 fantasy points in his last 3 games. I just think he has a great batter versus pitcher matchup here. Batting .579, I'll take my chances. So I like Brock Holt here versus Dylan Bundy. Okay, let's take a look at the shortstop position. I like Nicky Lopez with a 79% batting advantage over Josh Fleming. Nicky Lopez bats 28% better versus lefty pitchers. He's batting a .771 OPS versus lefties. And Josh Fleming throws his worst ball by far to lefty batters. 51% worse than his other pitches, giving up a 1.039 OPS versus lefties. There's no at-bats versus Fleming yet, but Nicky Lopez is only 2,200 FanDuel salary and 700 more on DraftKings. Projected at 7.6 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 7 fantasy points per game on the season, but he scored 12, 6, and 22 fantasy points in his last 3 games. So I like Nicky Lopez as a value play here versus Josh Fleming.
Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer, where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool, where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups.
Okay, moving on to the outfield position. I like Mike Trout with a 27% batting advantage over Kohei Arihara. Mike Trout is batting 21% better versus righty pitchers, batting a 1.178 OPS versus righties. And Kohei throws his worst ball versus righty batters, giving up a .852 OPS versus righties. Mike Trout is 4,600 FanDuel salary and 1,400 more on DraftKings, projected at 12.8 fantasy points here tonight, but he's averaging 16 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 22, 12, and 3 fantasy points in his last 3 games. So I like Mike Trout here versus Kohei Arihara. Another outfielder that I like the idea of paying up here at the outfield position. So I like Bryce Harper with a 62% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, Kevin Gausman. Bryce Harper bats 28% better versus righty pitchers, batting a 1.063 OPS versus righties. And Kevin Gausman bats he pitches 34% worse to lefties as he does righties, giving up a .712 OPS versus lefties. And Bryce Harper is 5 for 12, batting a .417 and a 1.223 OPS versus Gausman. Bryce Harper is 4,200 FanDuel salary, and he's 1,200 more on DraftKings. Projected at 12.5 fantasy points here tonight, he's averaged 12 fantasy points per game on the season, and he scored 31 and 19 fantasy points in his last 2 games. So I like this matchup, both with the splits and the batter versus pitcher history. So I like Bryce Harper here versus Kevin Gausman.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smickety smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.